This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay, and it's actually the 9 Combo. There's no 8 this week. Harry Jones has been very conveniently tied up in Springboks and particularly Malcolm Marx celebrations in Dublin. He's over there for the Islands South Africa Test. A mad penultimate weekend of the Autumn of Nations series and the November Test. We've seen two very intriguing but very, very different contests in Dublin and Paris to wrap up the Saturday games. It's been quite incredible. Early morning rugby for my time, Saturday night over there in Europe. We'll jump into a brief post-mortem in just a second. Obviously, you know what to do if you're on YouTube. Down there in the left-hand corner is the subscribe button. Hit that. If you're on the Spotify, all the Apple Pods, all of the pod platforms, then you know what to do there as well. A few results from this weekend then. It started in Tbilisi on Saturday with Japan 25 beating Georgia 23. New Zealand 52 have beaten Wales 26 in Cardiff. Fiji had a win over Spain 41-33 in Malaga. South Africa 24 have beaten Ireland 13, and we've just wrapped up with France 48 beating Australia 33. So despite not having a co-host to contest this with, I've made myself do a 5-word headline, and it's simply put: Boks, France leave their marks, as in Malcolm Marx. And it's a shout out straight away to Springbok hooker Malcolm Marx, who was just before the France-Australia game kicked off, was crowned the World Rugby Player of the Year. Pretty well deserved. I would hate to have separated him from, try to work out how to separate him from Peter Steph Toit and Oxenche as well, but certainly well deserved. And he was excellent in Dublin again today in that win over them. So we'll get straight into that. And that was just a mad game in Dublin. 5 cards all up for the match. France had Ireland, I beg your pardon, had 4 yellow cards. 6 cards for the game. Ireland had 4 yellow cards before half time. James Ryan was upgraded to a red card in the 28th minute. There's conversations, and there will be conversations about Sasha Feinberg in Ngomazulu not being carded earlier in the game. Well, you'd certainly argue that that's been a yellow card in the past. I don't think there's too much argument there. And I know that it was ruled shoulder to shoulder, but we've seen that sort of thing being carded before. But just an incredible contest, incredible the way that Ireland were able to fight their way back into that game and not let South Africa get away. It was 4 tries to 1 in the end, one of them being a penalty try. But Ireland's ability to stay in a contest that they probably didn't have a lot of right to be in for as long as they were is going to be the highlight of that game as well. Ultimately, South Africa's class, I think, has won through it. It's they're probably annoyed, I'd imagine, that they didn't win by more, particularly with how much time they were up against 14 and 13 men for periods of that game as well. So pretty good in the end, the South Africans, and as I say, with Malcolm Marx being named World Rugby Player of the Year, they've got plenty to celebrate there. They were very, very good. There's no doubting that in winning 24-13 as they did. The celebrations will go on in Dublin, as we hope to perhaps find out later in the week when the 8 part of the 8-9 Combo returns. In Paris, it was France 48 beat Australia 33, and it's more, I'm not going to call it heartbreak for Wallabies fans, because we've certainly seen this sort of thing before. There'll be an annoyance, and the Wallabies would and should be annoyed that they've let that scoreline get out as much as it was. They didn't deserve to lose by 15 points, but it's a 15-point loss on the back of silly mistakes, skill errors, ill discipline, some bad errors creeping back into the game in the last half an hour, and there'll be a lot of blokes who will not enjoy the review on Monday morning, if indeed there is one now that their season is done. I think this was the Wallabies' best performance of certainly of the tour, which hasn't been a happy hunting ground for much. I don't think France played a lot of rugby, to be honest, but you don't have to play a lot of rugby in the modern game to be able to win games. And 7 tries to 5 says that they certainly played some rugby, obviously, but they just did enough to stay in front, and perhaps that's what will and should annoy the Wallabies as much as they can. It was a really, really good first half. I think the Wallabies played with more shape than we've seen on this tour. There was some good width to the attack. They were putting France under pressure, and France were guilty of making some mistakes as well. They looked like they were drifting out of the contest at different points. So it was 19-all at half time. That felt right. That felt right. It was a really, really even contest there. And then France kicked away in the second half as the Wallabies' mistakes and want for self-hurt basically crept in through that. And that's the most disappointing part of that. Tom Hooper receives a yellow card midway through the second half. That was just after Max Jorgensen had scored a hell of a runaway try to bring the game back into within 1 point. But unfortunately, that's as close as the Wallabies got with Maul try. Louis Bielbarré ran away for his second try after scoring a quite freakish try in the first half, which will be replayed and highlighted for some time after that. But ultimately, in the end, they go down by 15, and it means there's a number of unwanted records for Australia out of this. It's the first time that they've gone winless on a Northern Tour in 60 plus years. The first time they've recorded 10 losses in a single year as well. And that's obviously on the count of there being not too many 15 test years in the past. So ultimately, annoying for Ireland, annoying for Australia. South Africa have every reason to be very, very happy with their year. They've been unbeaten on this tour here. France have done enough. They look a little bit off the pace in terms of Six Nations next year, and I guess we'll find out where they are come February and March next year. Didn't see a lot of some other games, I must admit, but New Zealand certainly did enough to stay ahead of Wales. Wales were in the contest, but New Zealand were always in control of that and won that pretty comfortably in the end. There's one other result that I did forget to mention a little earlier. Italy 34 beat Chile 19 in that game as well, which wrapped up at the same time as France and Australia. So that's essentially it for this very abbreviated weekend post-mortem. You can tell us what you think and tell me what you think by finding Harry and I on the socials. You can find the 8-9 Combo on the socials as well. Have your say here on the YouTube. I'd love to hear what you thought of all these games and even a few of the games that I haven't seen a lot of as yet. We'll catch some replays on that. So this is the 8-9. It's the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. He would normally be Harry Jones if he was here. We will hopefully be back in your ears in a few days' time when Hugh Griffin joins us for what we really hope will be another great rugby chat.
Here goes Jones with another bruising run. He links up with McKay, who pops back to Jones. They can't. They won't. They will. What a try. The Dream Team Combo go in again.